Hey guys, welcome back to a Rare Breed podcast. My name is Avi, the host. Today I have a special guest with me from Gays Against Groomers. She's joining me to dive into some sensitive topics about the illegal immigrant issue that not only the US is having right now, but many parts of the world are dealing with as well. I want to bring awareness to these types of scams and situations occurring all over the country. So, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Jessica. I'm a journalist for Gays Against Groomers. I'm located in Connecticut and I'm a mom of three. And thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, of course. It's a really important topic. This is actually, I feel like I have a friend kind of going through the similar situation, although I don't know for sure and I didn't ask, but it just from the viewings I look at on Facebook and social media, it really sounds like this kind of situation. So tell us about what your friend is dealing with and how it began.
Yeah, so my friend, I've known her since we were old. She's my best friend. She's one of the kindest, literally one of the kindest people I've ever met in my entire life. She's like gone with me to the emergency room with my son before. She'll like wake up at 4 in the morning to help you if you need something. She's just one of those kinds of like genuinely good people. And she met this individual online and on a dating app, and he love bombed her from the start. Like total typical, took her on vacations, was buying her things, was doing everything for her, was coming to all of our, friend and family gatherings. He was really, really outgoing, really social, really charismatic, and just won people over really, really easily. They ended up deciding to get married. She knew at this point that he was undocumented, that he was illegal. Um, she didn't know why he came to the United States, just, the typical looking for a better life thing. There wasn't really any red flags. Um, and they decided to get married. They got married and they ended up getting pregnant very quickly. Um, she really, really wanted to have that family unit, that most people want. And once they, once she got pregnant with the baby, certain things started happening within the relationship. Like red flags were popping up. So, for example, she has this dog that she's had for like 15 years, and the dog is very old. She has digestive problems and a lot of health conditions, and was on a special diet. And he started disregarding the veterinarian's plan for the dog, and was purposely making the dog sick and giving the dog things that she shouldn't have been having. And he became very like verbally hostile towards her. Um, and at that point, you're pregnant and you're already in this situation and you're not really sure what to do. And then she had the baby, and he started like berating her verbally. He wasn't taking care of the baby, and the baby started getting a little bit older. And he would do things like he left the baby out on the balcony in a kiddie pool by herself. He started smacking the baby on the head, just, abusive things that she couldn't really call the police for, but that she started like taking note of. She had a video recording of him hitting the baby. She brought it to the police. They said there's not anything that they could do about it. And she started noticing some other red flags, more, I don't know how to put this, more inappropriate red flags regarding him and the baby.
Mm,
And she took the baby to the pediatrician because she was concerned. I can't really go into like specific details just because this is an ongoing case.
yeah.
But the after an examination and everything else, they said that the baby most likely has sexual trauma, and due to the timeline of when this happened, the only other person that had access to the baby was him. So, it wasn't her. So it had to have been, the father, and that along with all the other red flags. So immediately after that, she went and got, she did everything she was supposed to, got, temporary restraining order, had him removed from the home, made a police report, and it's just been ongoing since then. She put her in therapy. She has a really good therapy team. She was been diagnosed with like PTSD and like anxiety. They found that she has some pretty severe anxiety and trauma towards her father, especially regarding like their bedroom. All
Oh
of these things are brought
man.
into evidence. Yeah, all these things are brought into evidence in the courtroom, but since they don't have any physical like DNA evidence, they can't do anything really about it. It's all like technically hearsay, even though she has this whole team of doctors, saying he shouldn't be around her, he shouldn't have access to her, it's going to cause more trauma, it can be potentially dangerous. And despite all of that, she's still, now she just got a ruling that he's going to have like reunification, supervised visitation, excuse me, that will lead into eventually likely unsupervised visitation.
How is that even possible?
Yeah, it's very crazy. And I feel really bad for her because again, she's doing everything she's supposed to be doing, like documenting everything, writing everything down, taking her, like this kid has so many therapy appointments with different, she has like OT, a therapist, like all of these different types of, she has a whole team that's managing her. She's really trying to make sure that her daughter is able to heal from this trauma and that it's not going to, affect her as badly as it could throughout her lifetime. And, this state is just making it impossible. It's he recently this year, because this has been going on for 2 years now. Just this year, he tried to kidnap her from daycare twice. And the first time, she, called the police, and the police came. She made the police report, and he's saying that because he's not from this country and he doesn't speak proper English, that it's a miscommunication and like he doesn't understand like the laws over here and he doesn't understand what he is and is not supposed to be doing. And then they completely let him off. Then he came the second time. This was more recently. I think it was a few weeks ago, and he showed up to the preschool, to the daycare, and came in the building, asked for her. And the crazy part is that he requested all of her medical forms, all her birth to 3 forms, and went through all of her records specifically to find where she went to school because he didn't know. But he went through everything, found out where she went to school because he has access to all of this, right? Because his parental rights haven't been terminated. So
Yeah.
he has access to everything. He has access to her address. He knows where they live. And they had a court ruling about the supervised visitation. He became belligerent during court. After court was done, he drove, it's like an hour drive to where she was at school, drove an hour to the school, went in the building, started, saying that he wanted her and he was going to take her. And the school, they ended up calling the police. They tried to get him out of the building. He started running around the interior of the building looking for his daughter. They had to remove him from the building, and then he started walking around the exterior of the building, trying to find out like what classroom she was in, seeing if she was outside, and it was really, really scary. And the police came, and again, his lawyer is saying, "Oh, he doesn't understand. He doesn't speak English. He's not from this country." It's just like the same typical, BS lines that
Well,
they
that
keep
doesn't
giving
make
for
any
everything.
sense. That doesn't make any sense because how is he able to get all of that information? Like, how does
Yeah.
he know how to get that information? How does he know
Mm-hmm.
how to gather that information if he doesn't know English and he doesn't know our laws and he doesn't know all of this? That's ridiculous.
Yeah. It is. It's so crazy and so mind blowing. And the police, we, she was trying to push for him to get arrested for attempted kidnapping. But since it's technically his child, even though he doesn't have custody right now, he still has parental rights. So technically, it's not kidnapping. So they couldn't get him on that. And they basically let him go, and nothing has been done about it. And it's really scary too, because since he is undocumented, there's no way to trace him. He has no address on file. He's making money under the table. He has no job, you know what I mean, that they can go to.
Yeah.
If he does end up taking her, she could potentially never see her daughter again. And he can do
Oh,
who
that's
knows what with her.
terrifying.
Yeah. Like, there's no way to trace him or track him down. He has no, ID, like, social security number. They'll never find him.
Oh, I have so many questions.
Sorry, don't mind me adjusting myself to my
So,
blood pressure.
the first question that I have really is, so when you say that he was like charming in the beginning, was this like, how did they meet? Did they just meet?
So they met on a dating app, as most people these days meet. So he was on a dating app, they matched, and they started, going on dates from that.
And did he disclose in the beginning that he was illegal?
Early on, yeah. But it was more of a, like, I'm illegal, but I'm here for a better life type of thing. It wasn't anything, especially I feel like we're very, like, culturally, we're raised and told and taught to be open, not to be, like, quote unquote racist. Like, just because they're undocumented doesn't mean they're bad people. So I think that a lot of that played into her decision, where that wasn't a red flag for her. And again, she's super nice, right? She's one of those people where she sees the best in everybody. She didn't see that as a red flag or as somebody that would be taking advantage of her, where, somebody else might see it that way, but she didn't. And unfortunately, she was very easy to prey on.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like he knew exactly. It sounds like he got his way in there and then realized, oh, she's perfect. Like
Hmm.
this is the personality I was looking for.
Yeah, exactly. He completely took advantage of the fact that, she is almost overly nice.
Oh man, that's so heartbreaking.
Yeah, no, it's really sad and it's really frustrating. And she's called ICE. Like, she's tried to have him deported. She's called higher ups in our state, and nobody will deport him. We're a sanctuary state, so it's very difficult for us to get any help on that. And then we're a very blue state as well, so no one's touching this, like, with a 10-foot pole. And that's why I decided to try and put an article out there, because there's not a lot that I can do, but that's something that I at least I know I could do that. So I did write up an article, telling her story and how this is affecting other people. I've seen anecdotally that other people are, like, falling victim to this, where they're getting completely love bombed and then they end up getting abused after. And he actually told her right before she filed for divorce that he used her. He said straight up that she could leave him and he'll just find another white girl to marry and have a baby with. And that's the only reason why he wanted to, yeah, it's the only reason why he wanted to be with her. So, it's definitely a scam. It's definitely dangerous. And other people are falling victim to this as well. And unfortunately, because there's a child involved and it's, an SA case, it's even worse.
So, what were the initial first signs of like abuse and aggression? What did she notice? Like how did she notice besides the animal? Like what towards her and, what was it?
I would say a lot of, have you heard of the term weaponized incompetence? Where you know how to do something, but you're not going to do it. You're going to act like you can't do it because you want someone else to. It's a
Mhm.
relatively new term, so I wouldn't be surprised. But he started basically acting helpless. He couldn't do anything. He couldn't help her with the laundry. Now, mind you, she's pregnant and they live in an apartment building. Um, and he couldn't help her, bring out the laundry. He couldn't help her clean anything. It was just a lot of that, like, typical, like, machismo type of BS, where, like, she's the woman and she has to do literally everything for him. He wouldn't even clean up after, like, himself. And then, just like the verbal, just saying really nasty things to her. He
Yeah.
never hit her or put his hands on her. It was a lot of emotional and verbal abuse. The only physical thing he did, aside from allegedly the essay, would be smacking his daughter, in the head and stuff. And but besides that, it was a lot of the verbal and the emotional abuse.
Oh, I feel like there needs to be someone that can fucking help, man. There has to be someone. There has to be a lawyer that could get involved.
He has a lawyer right now, but it's just because of where we live. He's basically a protected citizen, like a protected class. So it's very, very difficult. And she's reached out to so many people. I told her she should reach out to Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
I actually sent him my article. So hopefully he gets that. Maybe he'll pick it up. But there
Tell
are
her to
people.
reach out to Glenn Beck. We need Glenn Beck will jump on this
That's a good
story in a
idea.
heartbeat, I promise you.
That's a good idea because she's just like spinning her wheels at this point, and like the police aren't helping her, the court system's not helping her. I mean, like she has called ICE so many times and been like, this guy has this, he shouldn't be here, you know what I mean? He's not
Yeah.
contributing anything to society, he's hurting his daughter. um and he could potentially be hurting someone else, because honestly, who knows, he might be having a baby with another person.
Yeah.
But it's just really scary that people aren't helping her.
Yeah, that's really scary, and it's even worse to think that, these sanctuary cities, they don't care about women at
Yeah.
all.
Mhm.
And that's I hate to get into politics, right? But that is the left's main push right now is women's rights. Well,
Yeah.
where is that push when it comes to women's safety? And it not
Yeah.
just goes into, our mission, which is men in the women's bathroom and men in women's sports, but this goes into, I mean, all the way down to closing our border and protecting our citizens. Right?
Yeah. Yep. And you
It's
see the violence that has been going on. I mean, we have these young girls who are being raped and murdered.
yeah.
And so it's definitely really scary, and I really don't understand the logic behind, not speaking up just because it might offend somebody, or it's not going to help you politically. But we literally have children being raped and murdered, and
Yeah.
nobody really seems to want to do anything to help it, to stop it. And we
No,
have,
I,
I
I
think, oh, sorry.
sorry. I
Um,
just think that a lot of people glaze over it. When you mention children being abused in any way, people are kind of like, "Oh, I don't like that." Oh,
it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I have here that according to the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, there have been between there's been millions of illegal border crossings just in 2024 alone, and 10 million crossings nationwide since 2021. So
Yeah.
just since 2021, 10 million
And
illegal
those are
border
just the
crossings
ones that they
that
have
are
like
yeah, documented.
confirmed.
Yeah. That's a low number. The
Yeah.
estimated number. But it's really scary and it's really sad, and it's having a real effect on everyday people.
Yes, it is. Oh man. So I guess the last thing here would be what is it that you really want out of this? Like out of this interview? What is it that you want to tell mainly women right now?
To be careful. To be careful. That's very easy to be taken advantage of. And I feel like that's, been a general message for a while in regards to, domestic abuse and domestic violence. But it's very, very easy to be manipulated. Very
Right.
easy to be manipulated. And there are people that are out there looking specifically to get married to you and have a child with you so that they can stay in the country. And I think that a lot of people overlook that, or they don't think that that's actually happening. Like, oh, that's far right propaganda, but it is definitely happening. It's happening, and your child can be at risk. I mean, this little girl could end up getting kidnapped and taken out of the country and never seen again. So to be careful, to protect yourself, protect your children. And I really would just like a lot more awareness on my friend's story, because she really needs, I feel like, more of an influx of support. So hopefully more public pressure, and public presence on it can kind of sway the judges, because I feel like, especially because of where we live, they might not want to upset anybody. The judges might not want to, upset anyone. But I think
That's
that if there was,
ridiculous.
yeah, I think that if there was more talk about it and people were like, no, this is wrong. Like, you can't, you can't give her back to someone who was preying on her. You can't have her have visitation with someone who all these doctors are saying will cause more trauma and will be putting her in danger. I think if there was more of a public outcry about it, I think the judge might be more likely to help my friend out, which would be great.
Exactly. I mean, there's all this, outcry about the pets in Ohio, which, yes, pets matter, right? But I mean, where's the outcry for the children?
Yeah, no, that's funny. Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely would like some more awareness on this, because she feels like she's completely alone. She feels completely abandoned by everybody.
She
So,
has been. It's
mhm,
terrible. She's been completely abandoned by the state that she lives in that's supposed to protect her as a tax-paying citizen, you know?
yeah,
She's been abandoned by our federal government who's supposed to be, inclusive and
yeah,
it's just
and protecting
it's
mothers and children, and it's just it's just an awful situation for her. And every time something comes up, like, we'll talk about it and we'll be like, how is this even happening? Like, how is he even getting, supervised visitation when she has letters from doctors and everybody else advising against it, so it's just really awful. It's really, really awful. And family court needs a whole reform, but that's like a whole nother topic.
yes. Yes. I mean, honestly, our whole justice system right now needs a good clean through.
Yeah, it does.
Oh man. Well, I'm really gonna try to push this episode out as much as I can. I'm gonna try and clip some of the most important parts and put it on my TikTok. I I mean, I know that nobody's gonna pay attention to this story. Unfortunately, like I just feel like nobody wants to hear this kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Like they don't want to actually believe that women are being taken advantage of.
Yeah, it's really awful. And I've pushed my article out to so many different places, and I'm having a really hard time with somebody picking it up. I'm about to just publish it on like Substack or something, just so I'm like get it out online. But I'm having a really hard time having someone to pick it up because it's very controversial, and people really don't want to believe that this is happening, but it
Yeah.
is. And so people need to start talking about it because women and children are being hurt.
Yeah. Well, I am definitely I'm gonna reach out to Glenn Beck too, and I'm gonna tell him not only to pay attention to this episode, but to keep an eye out for you and for your article.
Thank you. I really
Yeah.
appreciate that. I really appreciate you having me on and using your platform to help.
I mean, honestly, it's not like my platform's very big. I have like maybe 100 listeners, but I
That's
mean,
more than I have. So
Yeah, so I mean, hopefully, hopefully my listeners will do their job and share it and get the word out. So,
Yeah, that'd be great. There's just more eyes on this whole situation. That would be wonderful.
yes, yes. Well, I appreciate you taking the time, especially because it's so late where you are.
No, no worries. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you have a great rest of your night and stay safe, please. I am praying for you and your friend, and I will keep that little girl in my prayers too.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate everything.
Yep. Thank you. Bye.